Hello everyone and welcome back to another Getting Stuff Painted, my bi-weekly update give or take on the various miniatures I've been painting for the games we cover here on the channel. Not a super huge showing this time around, just the horrible winter weather just makes it very hard to get some painting done. I know I really should get like proper painter lights from a painting table, but in the area in which I paint, which is to the side of where I stream, there's really not enough room, so I kind of have to use the really nice natural light I get from the big window behind the painting area. During the summer, fantastic. During the winter, it's not so great, which means I don't have as much time to paint anything really, because there just isn't enough light in the day. So unfortunately not that much to show, and I think this will most likely be the last Getting Stuff Painted of 2023. Very unlikely I'll fit another one in before New Year's. Not impossible, possibly, but very unlikely. So I've never counted up how many models I cover in these series, like how many I paint within a year. I probably should, but I never have. But if anyone wanted to go back and find the first video of 2023 and then just count up how many models are in all the thumbnails, I would be very interested to know how many things I painted this year and how many games in total as well, just covering a wide variety of stuff. But either way, I would also be curious if anyone who does keep track of their own tallies are willing to comment and let me know how much you've been painting this year as well. But this week, to get back to the point, rather than yammering straight away, we have some Age of Sigmar / Warcry specifically for me. We have some RQuest, we have some Rumble, I was going to say Rumbleverse, Rumble Slam, Rumbleverse is dead, RIP, that poor game. We have, really those two should be over there because it's also Age of Sigmar or Warcry, but I kind of put them in the order painted. And then a little bit of scenery as well to just show that I've done it, basically. Big stuff like that isn't so bad. What is too large to show you in this video that I'm actually working on presently is the Rumble Slam ring, the MDF ring they released super cheap, picked up in Black Friday sale. I'm in the process of painting and stenciling that to hopefully make it very nice looking, because I want Rumbleverse to have a strong first showing. I'll chat more about that as we chat about the models though. So let's get started left to right with intermittent dog throws. She's already dropped 2 toys below me. So I've moved the camera down a little bit so we can talk about these 2 Blight Kings that came from the same set as the other one I believe I showed off. Actually no, we were using stand-in, we were using Lord of Plagues. So these are actually the first proper Blight Kings from the same box as the Harbinger. I think you get 5? Yeah, I think it's 5, and the other 3 I have assembled. You have to kind of pick at the point you assemble what you want them to equip with. If you want the Sonorous Toxin, which is the bell here, just a blighted weapon, in this case it's a scythe, or if you want the sword and shield variety, and that kind of thing is a little bad, because if you like, I bought these because I wanted them for Warcry, which means there's not really that much to care about, but for Age of Sigmar you kind of want to know in advance like what's the quote-unquote right choice here for weapon setup. But let's zoom in a little bit and take a look. I don't need to cover the colours I've been using because it's the exact same I've been using ever since I painted up the Wormspat for Underworlds. But I love scythes. I love that Nurgle has a fascination with equipping their units with scythes, and I definitely had to pick this one when I was choosing assembly options. 2 out of the 3 that I haven't done yet are, I would classify them as falling into the theme of being almost like mech suits piloted by Nurglings, because I'm pretty sure the Blight King body they're inhabiting in both cases is basically dead, but in one case the little Nurgling is poking out through like a pilot hole in the guy's stomach, and in the other one he's poking out his tiny head from where the head of the Blight King should be. So it's 2 with the theme of being piloted by Nurglings, and it's just fantastic. Like, Nurgle models are always so fun. I don't know about their practicality on the table, nor do I particularly care in this case. It's the design of them and the good humour of them that appeals to me much more. So Mr. Deer Antler Man here with his scythe, love it. If you want to know the colours, go watch any of the previous ones with Nurgle. I would go back to the Wormspat. That's where I went into the most detail about the colours used. But it's basically a mixture of various green contrasts, Gulliman flesh and washes. Super simple. There's nothing hard about what I did there. Oh yeah, I will say though, because these don't have the detailed bases of the Wormspat, because they're from Underworld and they always come with detailed bases, you really got to show off the old Plague World by AK, whatever it's called, their scenery elements, with a little bit of Agrat Surshade over the top. It looks like just a horrible swamp grass, and it's perfect. And then it's just grass tufts by, I don't remember the name of the brand, but you can find them anywhere. or you know, you can find multiple different colours, but I actually think those colours match really well with a Nurgle's garden type theme. And here's the other one, him with the sonorous toxin. Has he got enough bells? He's got that huge one. He's got a flail equipped with 3 of them. He's got one on his belt, and I think there might be one on his back as well. Same for him as well. Like, that texture paint is great. I've also been using, we'll talk about it more in a second, because I've been using it on the RQuest models, but the other one, which is just like a flat concrete color, it works as a perfect base for any other color. I am now just noticing though, in this perfect light, I've definitely used a different brown for the bases of 2 out of the 4 RQuest miniatures. That's going to haunt me to my grave, but that's okay. It sets them apart a little bit. Anyway, Sonorous Toxin, you can tell it's bothering me because I've completely lost track of what I was saying. He's not wearing very much, this gentleman, just pointing that out. He's basically just wearing that to cover his shame, and that's about it, and that's okay. That is okay. I'm not going to argue with this gentleman, but I didn't mean to turn him around when I said but let's move on. So from RQuest, we have 2 more from the starter set. Let's do this in the order. This is Sir Dreyfus. This is a goblin whose name I don't remember. And then I painted up the Wanderer, who is a little guy, a little samurai guy here. And then finally I painted up the wolf with no name. Now unfortunately, clearly I did these apart. I didn't do these all at once because the base colour I went with these, which I believe was Wildwood on top of that AK texture paint I'm talking about. That was Wildwood. And in this case, I'm pretty sure it was Gazgarg's Sewer. You know, that, whatever that, I never remember the name of the sewer paint, contrast paint, but that's definitely that. And that's going to bug me, but they're from the starter set. They're not. So there is still a differentiation there that will maybe let my soul rest in peace when I perish. If not, though, as long as I remember to do all the core box ones, of which there's only 1 character left actually, in the Wildwood, it won't haunt me. Because then all these extra box characters I picked up, it doesn't matter too much. So again, all these are metal with some exceptions. There's some plastic bits, but they're mostly metal. For RQuest, which made its debut in this series last episode, if you want to go check that out. So for Sir Dreyfus, I used Frostheart for the most part. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. I also used a little bit of Aethermatic Blue for the glow inside his powered shield and engines, so I'll show you in a second as I give the 360 gyro spin. And a little bit of Nazrag Yellow on top of Lead Belcher Silver for the parts I wanted to look a little bit almost bronze, or just off silver. I'm actually starting to really like that effect, especially once you put the non oil on top of that and just bring the tone down a smidge. But there's the back of them as well. I had an awful time trying to get these to stay together with the super glue I used, by the way. I don't remember having that much problem with old metal miniatures, but, well, maybe old Abaddon miniature, but yeah, I've been having a heck of a time trying to keep them together with, not once they were assembled, like once they were together and dried perfect, but the actual drying process, I use Loctite mostly. What is that noise? What a strange noise. I wonder if that picked up. You hearing that? It almost sounds like someone breaking, but like blowing into a recorder at the same time. What a strange noise. I can tell it's the end of the year because this one's just completely off the rails for multiple reasons. So that is Sir Dreyfus. I wish I could remember this little goblin's name. He's a pyromaniac. He loves explosions, but I'm totally blanking on it. Either way, he is also from one of the 2 starter sets that you can still pick up to this day for RQuest. And colours I used for him, I used, which green did I use for his skin tone? Striking Scorpion, I think. Then we've got some Bal Red in there, we've got some Yandin Yellow, and we've got a mixture of Rattling Grime and Snakebite Leather for his clothing. And then non all over the top again. And I've already talked about the base colour and the texture paint used for that as well. Thankfully he's so little that my inability to paint detail doesn't like matter too much, because from this distance I think he looks okay. And it's just fun having a pyromaniac gremlin. Be careful about almost dropping him though. So then we have the 2 that are from additional character packs, because for RQuest anyone can be with anyone really. The rules are just a minimum of 5, a maximum of 10, 4 on the play area as it were at most, and you can mix and match. You can have all the same class as well if you want to, although that would put you at a disadvantage. Ideally you want a nice mix of the 4 or 5 classes available for the game. But anyway, of these two, we have the Wanderer, a little samurai guy. I had no idea he was this small, by the way, when I saw pictures of him. I don't know what race he is. I'm not really familiar with War Machine, so I don't know about their specific species or anything like that, but he does kind of have a bug face. It's a bit hard to see with the pose. I accidentally, like, I was trying to match his official colour scheme, but with the available shades I had, which were, I used that new green that I talked about for Flesh Eater Quartz. I'm going to use for that. I used the same on the belt of one of those Blight Kings. I've forgotten the name. I will put it on the screen now. It's a new colour I'm getting used to, but I used it for his pants, Bal Red for his shirt, and some Yandin Yellow for the yellow purse. But the colour scheme I'm looking at here, it reminded me so much, and Snakebite Leather for his hat. It reminded me so much of two different things. Shang-Chi in comic books, so not how he looked in the cinematic universe. Go look up how he looks in the comics. He looks like this in this colour scheme. And more, you're going to have to be real old to remember this one, but the McDole is his name, the protagonist character you play as in Suikoden 1. So his first name is just whatever you choose, but his surname is McDole, so people can refer to him. And he looks like this. Just Google Suikoden McDole, DOHL, and Suikoden is SUIKODEN, I think. Either way, it looks just like him, just all it's missing is the bow staff instead of the katana. But I accidentally did that, and I love that it kind of ended up like that because I have very fond memories of those games. I take my name from a character from those games, to be exact, if you aren't aware. And I highly recommend them. I don't recommend Konami, who published them, but I do recommend, or any of the sequels. Just 1 and 2. 2 is fantastic, 1 is pretty decent. But anyway, we're not here to talk about video games. The Wolf with No Name, obviously a parody of The Man with No Name from the Clint Eastwood trilogy. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, etc., etc. I forget the other two. Either way, also just vibes of McCree, whatever he's called now, from Overwatch. But obviously he in turn was also a parody of Clint Eastwood as The Man with No Name. So colours for him. For the poncho, I used the Rattling Grime. I used Space Wolves Grey for his jeans. And that is Blood Angels Red for his poncho. For his skin tone, I actually used Skeletal Horde because he's a very light skin, or light fur coloured, I guess, in the official paint job, so I wasn't really sure what to do about that. I settled on Skeletal Horde because he's not a bony skeleton character, so I figured it would be okay, and it kind of worked. For his carbine, that is a mixture of Nazrak Yellow on top of Leadbelcher Silver, and also some Snakebite Leather, and non-oil over the top as per usual. Snakebite Leather for the hat as well. And just in case you're curious, there's the view from behind. Oh yeah, his white shirt is just the base coat. It's just the Gracier base coat with non-oil over the top. Fun miniature. He is smoking a cigar. I don't think I made it stand out quite well enough. If you were really like brave with it, you could probably do some lighting effect on his muzzle and maybe the top of the poncho there. But that is beyond my skill level. But if you wanted to try something like that, it would be pretty cool. That's the nice thing about these RQuest characters. Like whether they're parodying something or not, they all have so much character in them. Like they're so, all 4 of those are so vastly different from each other, yet they're in the same universe and are just part of this mercenary alternative future or whatever from War Machine. But anyway, let's move on. So we have 2 little hot off the press halflings here for Rumble Slam, and we have a very rare occurrence here because we have an occurrence where I didn't match up the official paint job. I went completely off book to hopefully a very obvious reference here. I'll just show off the halflings. These are the other 2 miniatures from one half of the starter box for Rumble Slam. They're just 2 halflings in blue shorts. I don't really have much to say about them. It's the resin is still doing the thing, even though I washed them thoroughly. Tried to make sure they're fully coated. I can see in his neck bone there's still a little bit of the base plastic or resin showing, which annoys me, but what can you do when they do the thing? This is just Guilliman Flesh and Talisar Blue for the shorts and non-oil over the top. And there's the other one. Hopefully you're going to get into focus. You know, the skin tone on each of them looks ever so slightly different, right? Like they are clearly not the same skin tone. Hopefully they'll come into focus. Like that is not the same skin tone. It's the exact same paint at the exact same time. I did one, then I did the other, but I put it on a bit more heavily on this one, and that's the effect. So if you wanted just subtle skin tone differences, contrast paint, particularly Guilliman Flesh, or what's the other one called? Dark Oath Flesh. is really good for that. And if you wanted a brown tone one, Fire Slayer Flesh is probably good for that as well. Like apply it on quite thick if you want a very dark tone, or just apply it a bit lightly if you just want like a light brown tone. It is really good for that. Sometimes it happens when I don't want it to happen, as I've talked about in the series, but this time it kind of happened as a nice little way of differentiating the two halflings. But anyway, this is the Gravedigger, who I utterly ignored the official paint job for because he is an obvious parody of the Undertaker, and I wanted to paint him like the Undertaker, so I did. I used a mixture of Black Legion and Black Templar contrast paints, and I used a non-contrast paint because it was the only purple I had that really matched up to that kind of almost lavender purple that he had back in the day for his gloves and the rim of his hat. I could have technically used like Luxian purple or Shyless purple. They wouldn't have been the right tone and that would have bothered me because I was going for the 90s Undertaker look. So I wanted to make sure of that, so I used another rare instance of not using a contrast paint for something significant. So, and then Guilliman Flesh again, and non-oil over everything. A little bit of blood for the Blood God because he has an open wound. Because he is, within the context of Rumble Slam, he's part of like the undead casino, or you know, zombies and things like that. So that's what I did. It takes a lot for me to not go by the official paint job as closely as I possibly can. I was a fan of The Undertaker when I was a kid. That's partially why I bought the model. I don't know if they ever did a parody miniature Bret the Hitman Hart. He was my favourite wrestler when I was a kid. If you know specifically if there is a Rumble Slam parody of him, let me know, because it's possible I just didn't see it, or didn't quite get the reference. So they've already been in a Warcry video, if you haven't seen, the one with the first showing of the Skaven in general teaming up with Skavik's Plague Pack from Warhammer Underworld to go up against the Stormcast Eternals. But we have a Deathmaster here and a Warlock Engineer, I think that's what he's called. Two models picked up just because them plus that Warhammer Underworld's warband is almost exactly 1,000 points on the dot to play Warcry. I think it's 990, so you're only leaving 10 points on the table if you do this setup, and they honestly seem pretty good. They seemed fine to me. I only used them once, but they seemed fine to me. So colours wise, again I went kind of by the official paint job. The difference here though for their bases, I more or less did what I did for the Nurgle units, but I used a different, actually did I use a different base green? Because looking at them now they look very similar to me. Maybe I did the exact same thing. I was trying to make them look like the kind of sewer effect that I had for Skavik's Plague Pack, so they kind of match the theme. That's also why the stone that the Deathmaster here is standing on is in that Gazgrag's sewer colour, rather than just being like grey stone like the official paint job. That was just to link them together. That's the only reason I changed that. Black Templar for his, actually maybe in Black Legion. No, whichever one was first. Black Templar. For his cloak, a little bit of Basilicanum Grey for his trousers, and that is the Sigurd Burgundy for his hood, the Shyless Purple for his tail, Guilliman Flesh for his skin tones, and just the base coat with Aggressor shade over the top for the bandages on his hands and things like that, and Mantis Warrior Green for the poison on his tail and also knife and also Eshin Throwing Star. Very, very cool miniature. I don't feel like I did a great job on him. I like the detail isn't as much as I would like, but the model in general I just think is very, very cool. And the crazy rat with the warp cannon thing, what are they called? I was going to say death heads, that's not what it is. No, warpstone missile or something. It's got the things he's firing are named sillily. A few of them got set off in the Warcry battle report. For him, he's mostly just Lead Belcher Silver. This actually turned out better in my opinion, but it was also like quicker and easier. A lot of Lead Belcher Silver, a lot of Blood Angels Red, and some washes over the top. Same green tone up there, mixing in a darker one there with black at the very tip, because the official paint job has that kind of effect. Also what is nice is around the back there you do see like a little skull he's standing on, and all these rats just flying out the tunnel here. And again, fantastic little bit of detail, he's using his tail to like adjust the pressure on his weapon, which is just an amazing, like you'd think looking at this it'd be quite complicated to put together. The instructions for it were very clear. You build it up step by step. Really the only part is this pipe, the black pipe there that goes round into here, like making sure that's under the right parts. That was the only hard part really. The rest of it was super simple and turned out to be a pretty neat model. I like them. And as I say, you only need these two additions plus Skavik's Plague Pack if you want to incorporate them entirely into Warcry with no fuss. I was about to do my wrap up and I totally forgot, just to show off for the sake of having said, hey look, this is a thing I did. I did 2 more bits of scenery from the Warcry Catacomb box, just 2 bits of fencing. There's two or three more that are basically the same theme. It's just a bunch of wood spikes and some small parts of stone, which I've opted just to do in Storm Vermin Fur. Lead Belcher Silver for the spikes, and Snakebite Leather for the wood, with a little bit of Wildwood for the ropes binding them together. Skeletal Horde for the skulls adorning the various parts, and then non-oil over everything else. Super simple. Just getting them done as a matter of note. This was mostly done because they're also simple to do if you don't have great light. I've already got the other ones sitting ready, so you'll probably see those sometime, even if it is into 2024. So I do think that about covers it. So if you want to show me at the tail end of the year what the last things you've been painting are, feel free to do so. If you're in the Discord or anything like that, you can link through to your Instagram or whatever, I don't mind. And I hope you enjoyed following my little cataloguing of the miniatures I painted in 2023. Heading into 2024, we're going to see some DC Universe, we're going to see some Batman, we're going to see more Warcry, we're going to see more RQuest, we're going to see more Rumble Slam, well, beyond this series as well is what I'm meaning. We're going to see Aristea, and some other things, thanks to, I believe I first mentioned it last week, or I keep on saying last week when it was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, when I mentioned I'm bringing a series to the channel where the viewer will get to kind of cast judgment on a game. Finalizing that now, that probably won't appear until 2024, but I've had a friend do up some graphics for it. I love how they look. It's gonna be great. I'm not 100% sure on how I'm going to present it, but that's something to look forward to, and it's also going to be used to bring new stuff to the channel, and kind of also, maybe ideally if it's a newer thing, give a developer feedback on it by just seeing what people think, like people being honest in the comments about whether this is a thumbs up or a thumbs down type situation. But more about that when the series appears. That's going to do it. Come back again in 2 weeks, after Christmas, after New Year possibly, and I'll be here again to yammer in your ear for roughly 20 minutes. Until then, enjoy your Christmas, have a happy New Year, and ta-ta for now.